All right, what's going on, guys? So, welcome back to another client interview. So, we've got another client with us today who has been absolutely crushing it on our program. We were just speaking before about his results, and he's made some great, improvements and changes. So, Rick, welcome to the interview. How are you?
You, Oliver?
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, Rick, you've been working with us for sort of over 6 months now, right? On
Yeah.
our Awesome. So for the guys who are watching, I guess you want to just share a little bit about yourself, I guess where you're from, bit of background and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area and have been here for all of my post-college life. I'm from the state of Washington originally, but I'm 62 years old, been married 38 years, believe it or not, and have been pretty fitness minded my entire life, but really wanted to try this program to see if I could take it to the next level and actually as a older guy get stronger and get leaner. And in fact, all of that has happened. So been really pleased so far for sure.
Awesome, man. No, it's great. And I want to dive into some of those results in a moment. What were some of the challenges you were facing before you came to the program, or what were the things that you thought, okay, I really want to improve this as part of my health and my journey as I get older?
Yeah, I mean, for me previously, where I definitely would have am one of those people am thoughtful about what I eat, and certainly was doing a fair amount of exercise. But I think what I was missing previously was just intentionality and just not being really dialed in. You got to be really dialed in about what you eat and just be, you know, just specific in terms of the quality and the macros, of course, and then with the exercise as well, just in terms of number of days a week in the gym, and then the specific exercises, all of those things I was kind of doing before, but just without a formal program, wasn't getting the results I wanted.
Got it, for sure. So you were basically going to the gym, you were trying stuff, you were staying active, but you said that it wasn't as intentional as it could have been. Was that sort of where you were at?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So doing some work, but just not without the focus and intentionality, which has really been the difference maker.
Got it, for sure. And how long was that like a problem for you for? I guess how long were you doing that for? Maybe, putting in the effort and not really seeing much return.
Um, yeah, for quite a few years, and just again, I felt like I was active, I felt like I was in shape, I felt like I was lean enough. But in fact, that wasn't really the case. There was a lot of progress and improvements to be made. So it wasn't like I felt like I had a lot of work to do, but then once we got going, I quickly discovered that I did.
Got it, man. No, that makes sense. And then so we've been working together now for 6 months and with Lloyd.
Yeah.
And there's been a big change. We were just looking through those photos there, and me and Lloyd were saying, probably one of the most ripped Jack 62-year-olds we've had to work
Ah,
with,
good.
which is great. So talk me through a bit, the past 6 months, sort of what have you achieved since you've been working with us?
Yeah, I guess the weight loss has been a big part of it. And prior to the program, I was bouncing around, 200 plus or minus consistently, and kind of 198 to 202. Just, I mean, I've been there for years and years and years, and now we're down closer to 180. So that was, about a 20-pound loss from the beginning to where we're at now. And so that's been huge, and people notice. A lot of people notice, and with clothes on. So it's really apparent, and that makes me happy, and those are great compliments to get. I think in terms of body fat, we've also seen a good reduction there. So most of the weight I've lost has been fat. Of course, I didn't realize that I had 20 pounds to lose. Like I just didn't. I thought maybe I have 10. And I had more, and maybe that's typical of the guys you work with. But certainly, once we got going, I realized I had a bit more work to do than I had thought initially. So both of those metrics, and then just looking in the mirror like anybody, I want to look good with the shirt off, and I feel like I'm there, and so all of that just makes me really happy.
I love to hear that, man. No, that's great. And you made a good point there about thinking you needed to lose 10 and actually needed to lose 20, right? Every time I have calls with people, they're like, oh, I just need to lose this. You need to do this. And I get my notepad out and I just put a times two by it. And I'm like, okay, if they say 10, it means 20, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, it's it's hard to tell, right? When you look at yourself in the mirror, even if you're in pretty good shape, you don't actually realize where that other fat is around your body, or that extra muscle that you want to gain. Like you need a little bit more than you think. You need to lose a little bit more than you think, which is kind of an interesting observation when you jump into a program where you kind of track things and actually get to see, what's going on.
yeah, absolutely true, absolutely true. And that's been fine too, because the program works well, and it's not been difficult to lose the 20, I would say. It's just, taking a focus on the work at the gym, and a focus on the diet, and just making sure the food I'm consuming is quality. So it hasn't been hard. Losing 10 wasn't hard, and going to 20 wasn't that hard either. So
Awesome. No, that's great. And Lloyd, you've been a big kind of part of helping Rick out. So is there anything you want to share about kind of Rick's transformation over the past 6 months and kind of what he's achieved?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about that point about like you lose 20 pounds, sometimes even 10, I use Rick as an example to so many new people in the program in that regards because yeah, a lot of people would look at, like Rick at the start and be like, yeah, this guy only needs to lose 5, 10 pounds, but then he's lost 20 pounds in complete transformation. So just so much hidden fat all over our body. Like we just look at our gut, right? We only look at our belly, but we have fat on our
Yeah.
neck, traps, legs, back, like there's fat everywhere that we just don't realize. So normally we've got more work to do than that's put out. And yeah, Rick's definitely done that. I think the thing with Rick that me and him have worked quite closely with is the food. I know Rick's a bit of a foodie, he likes to cook his meals and stuff. So he didn't want to just go to have, those boring bland meals of chicken, broccoli, and rice and trying to live like a 18, 19-year-old bodybuilder, right? Like that wasn't the style that we were going for. We wanted to make sure that he could have some wine in the evenings, he could have meals that he enjoys, and just having those conversations about food and just saying, look, if you prioritize your protein and as long as you're scanning the labels and like just checking some of the like the quantities that you're putting into the foods and stuff like that, then you can still eat what you want, but maybe you just need to change a few things. So it might be a case that he's had to reduce some oils in a certain meal, add this in, add that in, and that way he's still been eating the same stuff, but just drop 20 pounds. Like he said, pretty easy, just drop like that.
yeah,
And it's just those fine adjustments that, yeah, I think for Rick and a lot of people that join this program, a lot of it, people doing this for years and working out for years, and you're doing a lot of the things right. And you could tell by Rick's physique when he joined us that he's worked out for years. But it's just fine tuning, like just making those tiny little differences, those little changes that you think don't do a lot, they do everything. So I think that's mainly been the focus with me and Rick over the past 6 to 7 months.
Yeah, I love
yeah,
that.
definitely, definitely. And the f- one thing about the food is that you're right, Lloyd. I enjoy cooking, and I actually think that that's been a huge help in the program, because it's easy to find recipes that are, like you said, not boring, but still healthy and nutritious and protein loaded. So that's been kind of a enjoyable part of the journey too. Has just been to optimize recipes around, what's really going to work best for me. And usually every week I'll try to make a couple of dinners that I've never cooked before, always trying to experiment and do different things. So that's been really part of the fun.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Cooking yourself, and I think if you cook yourself, or maybe you cook with your wife, you work very closely with your wife when it comes to the cooking. I think you get really great results because you know exactly what's going into those foods. So yeah, that's a big hack is obviously cooking your own foods. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And things like, maybe a recipe calls for 3 tablespoons olive oil. I'll try to get by with one, something like that. So there's always ways to cut the fat a little bit as well, which of course I can control. To your point, in a restaurant, maybe the recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and they might use 5 or 6. You don't even know. So it's so challenging to even count calories at a restaurant, because you just don't know what's in it, and particularly on the fats. But yeah, at home, total control, which has been great. And then not just the quantity, but also the quality too. We'll use olive oil, use avocado oil, stay away from some of the seed oils and things like that. And again, it's just easy to do when I'm in control.
Definitely. Yeah, home cooking is an absolute life hack when it comes to health and nutrition. From a you mentioned there some of the quality of foods that you've been kind of eating. You spoke about the oils there, and obviously it's not just about the calories you eat, it's also about the quality of foods that you eat. And you've obviously added a lot of that into your diet. How have you found that in regards to, energy levels, focus, just general well-being each day? Have you seen many changes in the way you felt?
Yeah, definitely. And I've sought out, great sources for food. So have, and through this process have found, the best meat markets that have organic meats. I found the best fish markets. And so part of the journey has been really taking the time to seek out good sources of quality proteins in particular. And then it's just, the meal is just so much more enjoyable. And yeah, to your point, you feel great when you're eating clean. And you notice it. I certainly do notice it when I'm not eating clean. So if I've had a pizza or something at a restaurant, definitely can feel the difference. And it doesn't feel good, and it makes you not want to repeat it. That's for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I was speaking with another client recently, and he basically said to me, he's like, I can't, have this junk food anymore or fizzy drinks because it feels like poison that I put into my body because now I'm so used to eating healthy that when I put something in my body it's not healthy, my body's like, what the hell is this? Like, why are you consuming this? And you just get this like energy crash and feel terrible. So yeah, it's a good reminder sometimes when you have something that's not, that healthy, which, can happen from time to time, it's fine, but you do feel that difference compared to that nutritious meal that you've cooked at home, for example.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So, but yeah, the energy levels off of the quality proteins in the meals has been solid.
Amazing. No, that's great. And Rick, have you got any maybe advice for people that are watching this and they're kind of, on the fence? They're like, oh, I'm not sure whether I should do this. Kind of like dipping their toe in. They're not 100%. I guess what advice would you give to them? Because I guess, a lot of people that have come into the program, people exactly like yourself have had the same concern. So I guess, yeah, what did you think during that time? And I guess what would your advice be to them?
Yeah, I think definitely go for it. It's worth it, and I think if again, I didn't expect that I needed to lose 20 pounds. I'm delighted that I did. Um, but yeah, absolutely. Try it out. I think just the structure of the program overall, in terms of the exercises, the weightlifting specifically, the focus on the diet, the use of technology, the apps to really help track things. All of it is helpful, and it just reminds me of how challenging it is to execute these things on your own without coaching and guidance, and how just with that coaching and guidance, how it can change everything. It certainly did for me.
Amazing. No, I love to hear that, Rick. Well, I appreciate you kind of sharing your insight here. And what are some goals that you've got for the next few months? I know that you kind of spoke with Lloyd about sort of going into a lean gaining phase and stuff like that. So talk to us a bit more about your plans and stuff that you've got.
Yeah, I want to continue to get leaner. Think want to get body fat lower. Definitely want to get more ripped. But and we got a little bit to go there. So I'm really looking forward to that, and then moving into the building stage where we'll add more calories, and hit the lifting harder, and really add to that muscle gain. And that's been happening all along as well, the muscle gain. So it's not like it hasn't been happening, but I know we can move into that more aggressive phase. So I definitely am looking forward to that. Now that we've cut most of the weight, we can get moving on to that phase of the program.
Amazing. Great. Well, Rick, thank you very much for joining. Really appreciate your insights and yeah, keep up the good work. Excited to see what we've got for the next few months as well. So
All right, great. Thank you so much. Thanks for the conversation. It was good to talk through all this today. Appreciate it.
anytime. Thank you for watching this interview, guys. Any comments, just let me know below.